In an ever-evolving digital landscape, for your business to thrive, you must adapt or die. Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the podcast helping you harness the power of AI and marketing tools to revitalize and grow your business. And now here's your host, marketing expert and author of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI, Emanuel Rose.
Welcome to this episode of Marketing in the Age of AI, and I'm looking forward to the conversation we're going to have today about AI and AI agents and how we, as small and mid-sized businesses, may or may not be able to leverage them right now, but we should be in the near future. My guest today is Colin Fitzpatrick, and he's a very experienced tech entrepreneur. He's worked for over 20 years in top tech companies like Oracle, Salesforce, Dell, and HubSpot, in both management roles and biz dev and marketing. And he's also had multiple startups in the Web3 and AI space, and has raised millions of dollars, and is a experienced consultant as well. And his current project is the Griffin AI. And Colin, I'd like to welcome you to the show, and thanks for taking time today to talk about AI with me.
Thank you so much, Emanuel. Well, there's nothing more I like to do than talk AI, and especially with someone like you. So thanks for having me on.
You betcha. And now you're in Dubai right now. Is that accurate?
I'm in Dubai. Yeah, I'm Irish, but I've been living here about 5 years.
All right. Well, that's a much different weather setup than what you grew up in, huh?
That's part of the reason I moved here. Yeah, even though it gets super hot here, like where you live, I take the sun for. I'm very happy to see it all the time.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's I spent a lot of years on the coast of California, and in the kind of like 50-degree gray year-round weather, and so
it's not good for your mindset.
I like being able to go outside, go for a walk, and see some sunshine too. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you taking time today. I know you've got a nice career so far with a lot of experience, and you're deep in the AI space. What originally brought you in and interested you in technology, and this technology in particular?
Well, I've just always had an interest in technology since I was very, very young. You know, when I was 16, 96, when the internet came along, I was really interested in that, taught myself HTML, etc. Worked for a bunch of tech companies. Then I discovered, Bitcoin and the blockchain in around 2015. Got into it in 2017. I was just really interested in this transformational tech. Founded a company in 2020 doing metaverse concerts and NFTs, which was really cutting edge stuff as well.
Sure.
And when ChatGPT came out, I immediately saw this and went, this is the most transformational technology I've ever seen. This is going to change the world, and I'm going to go and do that. Like immediately. It was night and day for me. So I started working on a project with a buddy of mine who had some really cool metaverse tech, 3D avatars, motion capture, all that sort of stuff. He came to me with an idea, and I went, no, you need to bolt ChatGPT underneath this and create a digital human for like customer service and support, because it is as plain as day to me that is the way it is going.
Sure.
Within a couple of years, customer service, the problem of customer service, like you would know that horrible companies like Comcast that are just known for it, that'll go away. AI is here to solve that. And as one of the guys on the All In pod said the other day, if that's the only thing AI ever did, that's still transformational.
And please save us from the bad cable customer service.
Exactly. Or I saw one just today where it was like, you can walk into a supermarket, you see an AI, and you go, where are the eggs? And she goes, aisle 4, halfway down on the left.
Right.
That will become the norm. And I think we would think of it really strangely now, talking to an AI, but in 2 to 3 years, it'd be completely normal. And that, just from my, I seem to have a pretty good grasp on this, where it is going. And I'm just a really big nerd, and I'm just really interested in it. And I all my spare time is not, spent watching sports. It's spent reading and watching videos about AI and all the various things that are coming out. And if any of your viewers want to follow me on LinkedIn, Colin Fitzpatrick, I post pretty much daily there about all of the, transformational things that are happening. And we've never seen anything like this before. There's been, the Web3 stuff and the metaverse and blah, blah, blah. And, none of it compares to what is happening today. And all of the guys at the very, very edge of this, none of them are doom and gloom. They're all just, this is going to change our lives in some remarkable ways.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's beautiful. And you are on the tip of the spear, as they say. And it's cool to have you as a thought leader and to have you here on the show, talk about it. The work that you're doing with the AI agents is interesting to me because I think there's a lot of leverage there. The experimentation I've done with the agents so far has left me in kind of a like I haven't been able to actually get any value from it compared to what my vision of what those agents are going to do. So talk to me a little bit about where we are kind of in the development of just defining what for the listeners what AI is and what you see in the next 6 months and the next 18 months and then biggest picture.
Absolutely. Okay. So it's important to define it because the way I like to define an AI agent is a autonomous piece of software that can operate independently to complete goal-oriented tasks. And that's really important because you will give it a major goal, and like asking ChatGPT, it'll like make a list of 20 things that need to be done to achieve that goal, but then it will actually go off and do those.
Yeah.
And if you think about as transformational as large language models like ChatGPT are, it's still a box. You type a question, you get an answer. And it's remarkable and it's so smart, but that's it. It doesn't actually do anything for you.
Right.
AI agents are really going to bring AI to life because it will be text to action. So we've seen just in the last couple of weeks, a couple of ones come out where the AI can control your screen. So there's one called Claude from a company called Anthropic, and they have this thing called computer use. It is still extremely clunky. And, I haven't even used it because you kind of need to be a bit of a techie to do it. But you'll give it a thing like, go check the weather in San Diego for the next 10 days and put it in a spreadsheet along with the humidity or something like that. And it'll go to the website, it'll open up a spreadsheet, it'll like fill in these details. It's just a stupid, silly example, but it's one I saw.
We get it. There's multiple steps. You're getting a specific piece of data in a place.
Exactly.
Yep.
But like we were chatting earlier, the reason we haven't seen too much of this is, and it's very clunky at the moment, is it's just extremely early. But within 6 months, we'll probably start to have applications that we can actually use. And from a marketing perspective, think about all the, really annoying, monotonous drudgery work that we have to do. A lot of, filling in forms or collecting data or assembling it or doing research and things like that. The way I always like to think about this is that AI is just going to become like a really good virtual assistant.
Sure.
And I use virtual assistants extensively. I have a small kind of team of them that I call on for various things.
Right. And,
I always encourage entrepreneurs to value your time and not to be doing very low-end tasks. Outsource it, the whole 4-hour work week, etc.
Yeah.
AI agents are going to take that over very, very quickly. So, the point of these things is that they are very, very smart pieces of software that will be able to use your computer, integrate into applications, go off to research, book a holiday for you or something like that. Just like if you had a fantastic personal assistant that knows you, knows all your likes and dislikes, your preferences. I like to stay at these type of hotels in this kind of area. I want this kind of car. The holiday is an easy example, but there'll be many, many more things that they'll be able to do. So what I do in my day job is I work for a company called Griffin AI, and we specialize in AI agents specifically for Web3, so for crypto blockchain companies.
Yep.
And what excites me most about this is the fact that, I've been in crypto a long time, and really it hasn't got any easier in this time. It's still a pain in the ass. It's still confusing. There's still a very high learning curve and still a fairly, rough user experience. And I truly believe that AI agents are going to come here to fix all that problem, because it'll go to the stage where you have a problem, you know what the solution is, you just don't know how to actually do it. And
Right.
AI will come along. You will go, I want this. The agents will complete it, and you won't have that learning curve or having to figure out how to use applications anymore. That will permeate across the entire software ecosystem.
Well, how far are we from being able to draw out a sequence and WYSIWYG our way into, like, say, account-based marketing, top highest level of ABM outreach, right? Where I get my 50 targets, I have their LinkedIn, I have, they're going to go get the LinkedIn address for me, read their last 15 posts, understand which industry they're in, write me a trends article, and send an email. How far are we from being able to do that?
I'd kind of say 6 to 12 months before there is a package solution out there for anyone to use. I would imagine that if you're a developer, you could probably knock some, very rough version of up that would kind of do that. It would be rough and it would make mistakes, but it's there. The problem is that when it becomes so easy, what happens when everyone is doing it?
Sure. Yeah, always. Yeah.
We're all going to be completely bombarded by spam. And I mean, we all get enough LinkedIn junk already, and you can kind of tell when it's, someone's commented the other day on a LinkedIn post about, AI images are getting so good that, you're like, is that AI or is it not? And what happens when you really can't tell? Because we're almost there. Yep. But I do see some fantastic abilities for small business to be able to automate a lot. There's a buddy of mine, he runs head of AI.ai, which is like a fractional head of AI business. And he's taken a team of 16 people in a marketing company, in a big company, and shrank it down to like 1 to 2 with automation and tools and process, and then agents and stuff like that. So it really, really can be done. And that's what I'm excited about for an entrepreneur or small business owner. We're going to be able to operate at a much higher level using these agents. And
right now, what is kind of a rough cost to build an agent for a very specific defined task?
It's very hard to say that. I mean, if you wanted to just go to an agency or something like that and build a bot, sure, you can get one done for a couple of $1,000s. If you want something significantly more sophisticated, it probably costs you 10 to 20. It's very hard to say. I've never personally done it, but I mean, I would also say that it's tough because you could spend 10 to 20K and in 3 months, someone will have knocked up something for $20 a month. That is just how fast it's like. Someone came to me with an idea the other day and I said, it's brilliant. Just like wait 6 months because there's no point in spending the money now. It really is moving that fast.
Yeah, I guess so. That's part of it. Some of the things that are the most obvious, we've got people who are working on that, and there's going to be small startups that are covering the obvious plays, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, we all get enough of the spam, and you can see the comments on LinkedIn that are just so painfully obviously written by ChatGPT. But it is changing, and I think the entire market will move. Because when there's 10,000 companies vying for your business, I used to, sell technology to IT managers and CTOs, and all AI aside, these guys are getting absolutely hammered by probably dozens of mails every bloody day by all these companies that are being done manually. So when it comes up, it's going to have to be different. But I think the entire system will change because no one's going to ignore these sort of blatantly cold and thoughtless messages. And hopefully we will come to a stage where AI will actually be able to connect us with people who are actually looking for what we have. I mean, I used to work for HubSpot, and they did a great job of just being able to capture the inbound marketing of people who are out there searching for your product. And I kind of see it going more that way.
Yeah, and the personalization, that's my hope, is that somebody is going to pay attention to me as a human, understand what is important to me, and reach out to me based on those things, right? And I've seen some good examples of that with cold email, where they're able to crawl profiles and craft messaging that is in line with their ideal client profile and the actual humans who are interested in their product. And so that's my hope.
Well, exactly. I mean, look, there's a convergence of technologies happening here, and it's not just AI, like, the account-based marketing and some of the analytics tools who have very, very deep integrations and kind of can identify companies who seem to be, out there searching for your solution. So I think that is really key. I mean, one of the good things is that at least now when we talked about customer services, someone does, send an email in, at least now they'll get a good answer. When you are actively out there trying to find information and you send off an email and it goes into the abyss and you might get a response a couple of days later, hopefully those days are gone. And now you can just sort of get to the crux of what you're looking for, get the information that you need. I mean, right now it's like, oh, if I have to call some company, where's the number? How long am I going to be on hold? Will I get transferred around? Will the person from Bangladesh understand me? Will they be guessing at my answer? All that's kind of going to go away. You're going to be preferably talk to an AI to get the information you want. And if you can't get it, then at least you'll go to a human who will have a really great summary of everything you talked about.
Yeah, I like that. I guess how does a CEO or a marketing team, how would they start to compile and build the data that would be needed for that agent to be the customer service? I mean, what's the prep work to getting that set up?
Yeah, well, that is obviously a really key element of this. I mean, we all know it's garbage in, garbage out with these sort of things.
Sure.
I've done a little bit of work with a couple of companies who've just made basic chatbots for their website, etc. Okay. One of the key areas here is if you have one of those old school chatbots that, you just ask a question and it'll spew you out a generic answer of go to this webpage and see it. At least you know what people are asking. And what you'll generally find is that it's the 80-20. It'll basically be, a very small amount of questions will be the vast majority of what people are asking. Now, there will be a long tail for that, but that's okay. You could probably train it on a lot of the internal data you've got. But one of the things I've done successfully before is just getting the employees to kind of answer the questions. And you can do that, with voice. I'm a big proponent of voice. So what I did for a previous company was we figured out like the top 100 questions that might be asked. And some of them, we already had the answers for, etc. And then we send it out to the team and they would just hit record some audio and speak the answer that they thought was true for these, let's call it 50 questions. Yep. And then we collated all of that, stuck it, into an LLM, and the answers that came were very, very strong. And you've got to beta test it at the beginning. So you're trialing it and you're seeing and you're identifying answers and you can update it that way. But, I don't think it's a monumental task to kind of get this right.
Nice. Yeah, I love that. And so then, I guess, what are some of the other use cases that you've seen for the agents that are interesting up to this point?
Well, what we do is we build AI agents to help automate and improve user experience for the world of crypto and Web3, which, as I mentioned to you, and I'm sure some of your listeners would know, is a bit of a nightmare when you're beginning. It's an awful lot to learn. So we've turned everything in Web3 into a ChatGPT interface. So instead of having to set up a wallet and have your confusion around different platforms and different coins and then different networks and all that sort of stuff, now you can turn that into a conversation. And when I say a conversation, I mean like an audio. You can talk to it and it'll talk back to you. But if you just want to type, it's like, right, what's my balance? And it'll bring it up and you can ask about past transactions and you can search rather than having to use these horrendous blockchain explorers. But I can go, right, send $100 to Emanuel of Ethereum, or I can go, I want to stake a coin. I want what's called bridge, which is changing it to a different network, which is really confusing and difficult to do when you're new to it. All the degens know how to do it. But that to me is how the ecosystem should be evolving and how AI would just take away the pain. And the example I always like to use here is right now, or no, let me go back. 3 years ago, if I wanted to make a really, really cool flyer for my birthday, okay, and I'm having a party on a boat, and I want a beautiful flyer with the Dubai skyline in the background and a really cool yacht and Colin's birthday and all the info, I would have had to have been very skilled on Photoshop, probably years of experience to be able to create that, or I'd have to pay someone else to do it for me.
Sure.
But now I can go into ChatGPT and just punch in what I want, and 10 seconds later, it gives me, the output. That is a perfect example of AI sort of breaking down this barrier of massive amounts of skill needed, and now they've just go away because an AI or an agent or whatever it is just knows what I want and produces it for me. And Photoshop's had this built in for a while. Now we got in the AI because you have this one interface, you ask for what you get and you get it. And that to me is going to be where software is really it's going over the next, like you said, sort of 18 months and beyond.
Yeah.
I use ChatGPT for most stuff now, not, Google, because I get it's, Google is you search a term, it gives you the best guess as what pages, and then you search, and for the most part, it's someone has written an article on that and then you get an answer. No, I just ask and now I get the answer. And
Right.
This is the sort of new paradigm that we are entering that will take over everything we're doing.
Yeah, I love it. That opens up a whole other can of worms around generative engine optimization and how we manage that. And I'm with you. What I've seen is that the smart companies are saying AI first, human in the loop, assess and understand if it's coherent with your KPIs, and continue to innovate. And are you seeing anything different from that high level sequencing?
I mean, that's pretty much it. Look, it's important for everyone to realize that AI is not the be all and end all for every situation. There are many fantastic use cases that are coming up now and will come up into the future, but it doesn't mean that it's perfect for anything. One of the key things that we talk to clients is knowing where to use AI, but knowing where not to use it. The human element is still really important here. Yeah. I've worked with people in HR, etc., and you don't want to get your annual appraisal just churned out by ChatGPT. You want to know that a person has actually thought about it before, and he didn't just go, spit it out the same generic nonsense than everyone else. You also need to make sure that, okay, people do and will be generating legal documents, but we've seen these wild cases of generative AI hallucinating, and it did.
Sure.
I mean, one of the things that I do very extensively, and I urge everyone to do, is I record all my calls. I transcribe them with any of the meeting note takers, like Otter or Fireflies, or my favorite one is called Shadow. And I then put those into ChatGPT, and it created like a digital brain, like a database of what I'm talking about. But I did one just today, and I asked it to tell me about the call I'd had with company X with, 3 names. And it took 2 of the names and it split them in, and then it was like Mark, and it took his surname, and it completely fabricated an unknown person and what he said, which no one said. So you've got to be really careful about, what you're really doing with this. And so everything needs to be checked, etc. But in saying that, that doesn't mean don't do it. I absolutely think you should do it, because it can speed up the time of sort of generating content or just reminding you about stuff. It's been a complete game changer for me. I teach it to a lot of people, and I really recommend that everyone focuses on the right use cases where it makes sense, and build from there. Love
it. Well, Colin, you and I could have about a 4-hour conversation. I really appreciate your time this morning, this evening, and just again, how do people get in touch with you if they want to talk about agents for Web3, or if they want to talk to you specifically?
Yeah. So LinkedIn is my social network of choice. Colin Fitzpatrick. You will find me there. Please give me a follow. And I do produce an awful lot of content. My company is griffinai.io if you want to have a look at kind of what we're doing, and I'd be very happy to talk to anyone that wants to chat. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd love to check in with you again in a few months and do another show and see where you're at.
Well, let's definitely do that, because I'm very excited about what the next 6 or so months is gonna produce. So would love to come back on and talk about it again.
All right, that's awesome. Well, thanks again, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Emanuel.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.